Everybody, this is Jeff C. I wanted to touch on a couple things here on a little podcast about what I believe is going on right here. We have seen over the last few days some pretty disturbing exploitation of children, whether it be by cable news or corporate news networks. You know, gun control advocates, the president himself. Here he is signing his executive orders, having children, representing the children of Sandy Hook in the background. There he goes, signing away your democracy. So there you go, you have your president using children, 4 of them to be specific, 2 girls, 2 boys, to destroy the ownership of guns within the United States. Why is this so important? Why are they doing it? It's all planned. That's my belief. I believe that it was planned from the moment that Obama was reelected. This would be the whole thing, and this is why Sandy Hook is so important for everyone to expose. Congress should restore a ban on military-style assault weapons, right? And a 10-round limit for magazines. So here he is.
Hi, everybody. This week I announced a series of concrete steps we should take to protect our children and our communities from gun violence. These proposals grew out of meetings Vice President Biden and his task force held over the last month with more than 200 different groups, from parents and teachers to law enforcement and sportsmen to religious leaders and mental health professionals. And in the weeks ahead, I'll do everything in my power to make them a reality. Because while
he's going to do everything in his power to make them a reality. We are going in uncharted waters here in North American history. You have a dictator, a de facto dictator right here, who is intent not only on getting your military-style assault weapons, getting all your guns.
May not be able to prevent every senseless act of violence in this country. If there's even one thing that we can do to reduce it, if even one life can be saved, we've got an obligation to try. My administration has taken a series of actions right away, from strengthening our background check system, to helping schools hire more resource officers if they want them, to directing the Centers for Disease Control to study the best ways to reduce gun violence. But the truth is, making a real and lasting difference also requires Congress to act, and act soon. First, it's time for Congress to require a universal background check for anyone trying to buy a gun. The law already requires licensed gun dealers to...
So that means that anyone who buys a gun will be on a government file. They'll be marked by the FBI, CIA, Department of Homeland Security, you name it. You sign that, you are on their list.
Perform these checks, but as many as 40% of all gun purchases are conducted without one. That's not safe, it's not smart, and it's not fair to responsible gun buyers or sellers.
And that number's just going to go up, Mr. Obama, because criminals sure as hell aren't going to register themselves. But that's beyond the point, right? This is about getting your guns.
An overwhelming majority of Americans agree that anyone trying to buy a gun should at least have to prove that they're not a felon or somebody legally prohibited from owning one. That's just common sense. Second, Congress should restore a ban on military-style assault weapons and a 10-round limit for magazines.
10-round limit for magazines. Okay, 10 rounds. They want you to have pop guns so that when they come in to take away all your rights, that you have a pop gun defense, right? You can't even protect yourself with the dinky little guns that they're going to allow you to have, if they allow you to have anything at all.
Many assault rifles, when combined with high-capacity magazines, have one purpose and one purpose only: to fire as many bullets as possible, as quickly as possible. These weapons have no place in our communities.
This is coming from a man who is killing hundreds of children every month in places like Afghanistan with his drone strikes. You know, one purpose and one purpose alone. You know, all guns have one purpose and one purpose alone, and that's to shoot a bullet. Now, whether you're shooting that bullet to protect yourself, your family, the people you love, or you're shooting that bullet just because you have a right to, right, at a practice range or whatever, right? At the end of the day, guns are only made to shoot bullets. It's the person who's behind the gun who has the motive to do something else with it. So the language is very important here. Assault weapons, military-style assault weapons, assault weapon. That is a purposeful term that they put on these types of weapons. They are trying to take away your ability to stand up and fight against them.
And the majority of the American people agree with me.
That's not true.
Finally, Congress needs to make it easier rather than harder for law enforcement to do its job. We should get tougher on people who buy guns only to turn around and sell them to criminals. And at a time when many communities have been forced to make cuts to their police force, we should put more cops back on the job and back on the street. Like most Americans, I believe the Second Amendment guarantees an individual right to bear arms. We have a strong tradition of gun ownership in this country, and the vast majority of gun owners act responsibly. But I also believe most gun owners agree that we can respect the Second Amendment while keeping an irresponsible, law-breaking few from causing harm on a massive scale. That's what these reforms are designed to do.
Causing a very few amount of people causing harm on a massive scale. I mean, that's the blueprint for your government, basically, right? A very small minority of the people who are using tyranny, lies, to control your own people, and are causing innumerable deaths throughout the world and within your own country.
None of this will be easy. Already we're seeing pundits and politicians and special interest lobbyists calling any attempt at common sense reform an all-out assault on liberty. Not because that's true, but because that's how they get higher ratings or make more money. Behind the scenes, they're doing everything they can to protect the status quo. But this time, it can't be up to them. It's got to be up to you. If, like me, you want this time to be different, then I need your help to make it different. Ask your member of Congress if they support universal background checks and renewing a ban on military-style assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. And if the answer is no, ask them why not. Ask them why an A grade from the gun lobby is more important than keeping kids safe in a first-grade classroom.
Straw man argument. There you go. That's what they use. And we're going to get into this big time in this little podcast here, because that is what they do. It's either you're with us or you're against. We had in Canada the one of the members of parliament or members of the parliament minister, come out and say you are either with us or with the child pornographers. And this was their attempt to be able to look into anybody's computer at any time, that they were doing it to protect the children. This is what they do. This is their way of putting fear in your mind, of putting fear, just like we saw, it was illustrated so perfectly with George W. Bush's tenure in the White House, how everyone was throwing away, and I'm not saying everyone, but the majority of Americans were ready to throw away all their liberties in order to feel protected. They are using the same scare tactics once again.
Since the tragedy in Newtown, I've gotten letters from all over the country, including many from our young people. One of them was from 8-year-old Rachel, who lives in Brooklyn, New York. She wrote, "Please do something so that bad people cannot get guns to kill other people."
Using children to make your point, using children as propaganda, how much lower can it get, right? This is what Hitler did, right? This is what he did. This is exactly how he was able to take away the guns. We are seeing history repeat itself, people, and that's a very dangerous thing.
Children should be safe, especially in school. Rachel's counting on us. Let's get this done for her and all the other children in this country, and let's make sure this country is a safer place for all children to learn and to grow. Thanks, and have a great weekend.
Fuck you. Seriously, we've got a president who is doing anything and everything to try to take away the people's right to defend themselves. His New World Order agenda means that you will eventually be in prison camps if they're able to carry out their goals. You cannot let this happen. Now I'm going to show you how they're using children every single day. We saw it in the first video. Here's another one. 5-year-old boy joins Secret Service for inaugural parade.
The Secret Service will be getting a little extra help during President Obama's inaugural parade.
She looks happy.
Monday. He's a little short for an agent, but he's got a heart as big as any of them.
And here's Wyatt Andrews with a story that'll touch your heart.
They've got to wake up.
Nathan Norman is a lively 6-year-old boy with a deadly type of brain cancer. And so last September, his mother Dawn asked what he might want for Christmas in advance, just in case. And what he wanted was a few cards from police or firemen.
Why was he asking for Christmas cards from police and firefighters?
He's 100% boy. And he just, to him, police, fire, EMS, military, that's his heroes.
What happened next was the wish heard round the world.
Hey, Nathan.
Nathan's request went viral on the internet.
Here's a nice party truck for you, buddy.
With viral being an understatement. Police, fire, and military units did not just send cards. Hundreds of officers every week are showing up at his Lynchburg, Virginia home in person. They want to meet Nathan, put their arms around Nathan, be arrested by Nathan. The Border Patrol brought their drug-sniffing dogs. The Secret Service brought their bomb detection robots. 250 state troopers drove from New England to salute Nathan in formation. The family still gets cards, uniforms, combat flags from Afghanistan, combat medals from Iraq. And the most unpredictable part is how many officers tell Nathan he is their hero for the battle he is waging.
I love you, buddy.
Here was a boy who could have asked to go to Disney World, and all he wanted was a card from them. Virginia State Trooper Bob Carpentieri grew emotional, describing how cops felt they had to respond to a child they could help.
You know, you see,
this is all part of it. It's all part of parading children in front of authorities, parading children in front of police, saying, these people love you, these people care so much. Using a young boy who has cancer to, it's a tragedy. Of course, it's a horrible thing. The poor child, on the surface, it looks like a very, benign and relatively clean story, but this is all part of the plan to use children to push the agenda. I went to look on some of these videos that are showing the Sandy Hook actors and their gun control agenda, right? How they seem to be very well rehearsed in what type of guns need to be taken down. And look what YouTube is doing here. They've done this to a number of videos. The following content has been identified by the YouTube community as being potentially offensive or inappropriate. Viewer discretion is advised, right? This is what they're doing to a lot of these videos that are trying to blow open and show the latest evidence and everything. And it's really, really, really disturbing. It's really sad. I wanted to show some of the people. I'm sure many people have seen this, where the the families are being interviewed. Here he's showing that there's a bunch of actors, and we did that in one of our earlier videos, right? But these interviews here with these people who are their children are saying things. They're coming out. They're saying
all the things she loved to do.
Okay.
What do you want people to know about Grace?
Okay, Grace, of course, we know with the owl. I can't find exactly what I wanted to show, but here's a great one here. Let's get this back here and just show you exactly what's going on. Now, there's hundreds of examples, and if you watch all the Sandy Hook videos with the families being interviewed, you see it. You see the woman talking to Anderson Cooper talking about AR-14s or whatever they're called. I probably got that wrong, but automatic assault rifles. She knew the number. She knew the kind right away. I mean, how do these people know this? Nobody knows. Now we know it was 4 handguns or whatever they're telling us today that were found inside because they couldn't get the shotgun in there or whatever, the long gun. Every day it's changing, of course. But look at this page. Look at this petition. Watch her video and support 8-year-old Bronte's plea to reduce gun violence. Right? So to President Obama. Let's watch this for a second here. I'll give a bigger view.
Hi, it's me, and I just wanted to thank everybody who's written letters and who signed the petition on the Facebook page. And if you haven't, please go to the Facebook page and sign the petition, or you can just write a normal letter and send it. And we really want to go to D.C. to deliver all these letters to Obama so he can really know that he has to take away the guns. And we really need to get 1,000 because my mom said if we get 1,000, then we can deliver them to the White House, and then Obama can...
Her mom said, right? So her mom is telling her what she needs to do, which means this whole thing has been set up, this poor little girl.
Think about trying to take away the guns, and so then all of us can be safe. Do you hear the children singing the song of determined youth? It is the music of a nation, learning the loss at Sandy Hook. It's the beating of your heart, says we must stop the sound of guns. We need some changes to ensure that tomorrow comes. Will you make your voices heard? Who will be brave and stand with me? Is this land we call freedom a place we're safe to be? Stand strong for the new town and innocent children like me. Do you hear the children singing the song of determined youth? It is the music of a nation mourning the loss at Sandy Hook. It's the beating of your heart, says we must stop the sound of guns. We need some changes to ensure that tomorrow comes.
Yeah, the poor little girl doesn't realize, obviously at the age of 8 or whatever, how old she is, she has no idea, right? And this is what she's being put up to do. There's numbers of videos like this. There's a ton of them. It's really, really disturbing. You know, she's got the stuffed animal collection all around her. It's all set up. It's all part of the plan. Here we go again. President Obama's going to read off a letter from one of the Sandy Hook.
Surrounded by children as he announced his proposals to curb gun violence.
Absolutely right. Well, each of them had written to the president following the Newtown school massacre. The president singled out 11-year-old Julia Stokes.
On the letter that Julia wrote me, she said, I know that laws have to be passed by Congress, but I beg you to try very hard.
So, laws are passed by Congress, but I beg you to bypass Congress. Look at Biden. Look at the big shit-eating grin he's got there. Fucking piece of shit.
Julia, I will try very hard.
Julia and her father, Theo, are here in the Situation Room with us right now. Julia, Thanks so much for joining us, Theo. Thanks to you as well. So what was it like to be with the President of the United States today?
It was breathtaking. It was just amazing.
What was the most exciting moment when he actually mentioned your name?
Yeah, and when he hugged me.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
And he signed your letter, right?
Yes.
That must have been pretty. You still have it, right?
Yeah, we're going to frame it.
You're going to frame it. You're going to share that and keep that forever, I assume.
Maybe you can frame it and put it next to the owl.
Yes.
Okay.
Julia, could you do us a favor? Could you read us your letter?
Yes. Right now?
Yeah, please do.
Dear President Obama, my name is Julia. I'm an 11-year-old who lives here in D.C. There are no words to explain how sad I am about the school shooting. Even though I'm not scared for my safety, I'm scared for others. I have 4 brothers and sisters, and I know I would not be able to bear the thought of losing any of them. I may not be that into politics, but my opinion is that it should be very hard for people to buy guns. The only thing they do is harm or kill, and guns should only be used in the most horrible event, while others will get hurt if they are not.
The only thing they do is harm and kill, right? It's the only thing they do. Now, this poor little girl has no idea, right? She hasn't grown up in the real world and hasn't seen what it's like when governments have all the control and the people have zero power. She has no idea how dangerous this is. She is being used as a prop. And as I said, I mean, like, each one of these kids, I feel sorry for them. They have no idea. But how evil can it get? I mean, this is just unbelievable.
I know that laws have to be passed by Congress, but I beg you to try very hard to make guns not allowed. Not just for me, but for the whole United States. My love and regrets, Julia.
It's a very thoughtful letter, Julia. Why did you decide to sit down and write it?
Well, I was overwhelmed with sadness about the school shooting, and I knew as one person I couldn't do anything, but I knew that President Obama could. So I decided to write this letter, hoping that at least he would read it and think of doing something.
Theo, you're the dad. Did you ever think, when she wrote this letter to the president, that today would wind up as it did?
I thought at most we might get a response, and I was trying to encourage Julia to do something with these feelings that she had. Yeah.
He was trying to encourage his daughter to do something with the feelings she had. So basically, he was pushing his agenda, whoever this guy is, somehow he's probably connected, and using his daughter, you know, to get the message across. And this is what they're doing.
By no means did I ever imagine this would happen.
So what was it like for you?
This was extraordinary. I think when the event happened, I just remember that I couldn't get through a newspaper article without tearing up and thinking about my own kids and just how awful it was. And I think Julia, I remember we were sitting at the table. She sort of, I think, saw me kind of tearing up, and she kind of quietly went up off to her room and began to write this letter. And I said, let's just send this off and see what happens. And
so this wasn't like a project for school or anything like that.
No,
this is just something you wanted to do.
Yes, I saw how sad my dad was, so I went up to my room and wrote it.
Did you ever think the president would read it?
No, I thought maybe, he'll put it on his desk and frame it, and that was about it.
Only put it on.
Yeah, well, if he put it on his desk and framed it, that would be...
He's gonna put it on his desk, he's gonna frame it, and he's gonna stick it right next to the owl. Right? When do people start waking up en masse to this crap? You know, this is just awful. Awful, awful, awful. Children's letters ask Obama for gun control, right? This is the dumb turds. I talked about them yesterday or the other day.
Letters from kids.
Okay, so we already seen that.
Today. These are some pretty smart letters from some pretty smart young people.
Right. So, we're gonna.
After watching the news all day on Friday, one question popped in my head, and that question is, can we stop using guns? I think if there are no guns on the street, no one could get hurt. Bullets don't have eyes. It can hurt anyone.
It's a free country, but I recommend there needs to be a limit with guns. Please don't let people own machine guns or other powerful guns like that. I think there should be a good reason to get a gun. I think there should be a limit about how many guns a person can own. We should learn from what happened at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
I'm writing to you to ask you to stop gun violence.
I am very sad about the children who lost their lives in Connecticut, so I thought I would write to you to stop gun violence.
I may not be that into politics, but my opinion is it should be very hard for people to buy guns. The only thing they do is harm or kill, and guns should only be used in the most horrible event where others will get hurt if they are not. I know that laws have to be passed by Congress, but I beg you to try very hard to make guns not allowed. Not just for me, but for the whole United States.
Did that girl really write that?
I think she works for
Did that girl really write that? Well, there's one smart person on the Young Turks, or the Young Turds. I don't even want to hear what these jokers are going to say, though, because they're just going to do their left-right bullshit. The children, the exploitation of the children goes on and on and on. Here we are again. And this all came about 1 month after Sandy Hook. In fact, I wanted to mention that at some point that I noticed the 14th of January is when I first started getting all kinds of straw man attacks on our videos dealing with Sandy Hook. Before that, there was almost nothing. So to me, it's all a concentrated, planned attack. This was planned. A lot of it was probably brought together in the last minute because of how much the Sandy Hook conspiracy is blown into a huge thing on the internet, with one video getting over 10 million views, and congratulations to those people. That is, you know, that's what we need. We need as many people seeing these videos as possible, so we all need to kind of push them around. So here we go. I believe this was on the 14th of, and guess what they're going to sing.
And we are back now with this very special group of kids, the Newtown Music Project. We've been talking about them all morning, listening to them as well. I'm here with Amy Roebuck. And Amy, you spent so much time in Newtown since the shooting a month ago. Tell us more about how this group came together.
I did. We all know that this is a community, the Newtown community, that is both taking action and trying to find a way to heal. And these children, an amazing group of children right there, most of them from Sandy Hook Elementary School, they found a way to do both through a song. And we want to mention this song.
You know, it's no accident that they're showing the little girl with the peace symbols in her hair. This is how these networks work. They are part of the whole political agenda. They are there to push it. That's why they have these prostitutes to tell you what to think.
It's available on Amazon and iTunes starting this morning. It's something everyone can enjoy.
And they're working with Ingrid Michaelson, the folk singer. And where are all the proceeds going to go? What specifically are they going to do?
It's going to go to Newtown Youth Academy and United Way of Western Connecticut. So be sure to give, and believe me, this song is going to move everyone at home. Take a look at how it all came together.
At first glance, they're just any group of happy kids playing outside when they should be in school. But these are the children of Newtown, and only a month after unimaginable tragedy rocked their world, they are eager to...
The green ribbons, this is something I'm going to touch on after. Notice these things.
Help their community.
So many of the students came to me, and all I could see in their eyes and, you know, from what they were telling me is, how do we help?
They made banners and created memorials. They tied ribbons, but they weren't satisfied.
I really want to be kind to the people who have lost their loved ones and help them to recover from their sorrow.
So today, they've come to the home of Tina Weymouth and Chris France from the Talking Heads, recording a song to raise money for Newtown.
Hold them with your hands.
My hope's that the kids from Sandy Hook School will have a hit record. And I think they have a pretty good chance.
Singer Ingrid Michaelson is lending her voice.
Even if it makes these kids who have been through so much, if it brings them an afternoon of joy and excitement, then that's what I'll do.
The kids have their own reasons to be here.
We just want to help them any way we can feel better and not alone.
I hope that someday our world will be peaceful and loving, with no violence at all.
10-year-old Kayla Verga is singing for her friend, Jessica Ricos.
Singing this song makes me feel like she's with me, and she's beside me singing along with me.
Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I've heard of once in a lullaby.
there, folks. I'm back again. I accidentally closed my recorder here, so it kind of cut me off when I was trying to get to the point here about all these children being used as pawns by the Obama administration, by the corporate media. I know a lot of people refer to them as the mainstream media. I like corporate media better because I think they serve corporations. That corporations are their whole objective is to bring in the New World Order. This is where I wanted to get with it before I was cut off here. Hours after re-election, Obama green lights UN gun grab. Okay. You can see the photo here. Obama with Hillary. The gun being twisted up. So, apparently right after he won his election, he was already pushing to have this UN treaty go through, right? Reuters reports within hours of securing his re-election, President Obama ordered the U.S. United Nations delegation to vote in favor of a UN proposal to fast-track an international gun control treaty. Okay. So we got to understand here, folks. It's very, very important. I'm sure most people listening do understand this, and this is why they're listening to these types of podcasts. But for those of you who don't understand what's going on, the same thing happened with 9/11, all right? Within a month or so after Bush had been sworn in, bam, the attacks happened. This is not by mistake. These things are planned in advance for sometimes years. A lot of stories were on the alternative news saying that if Obama wins, his first thing that he'll bring in is the gun control initiative. So there's no doubt this is all planned. This is why it's so vitally important that Sandy Hook gets exposed for what it is, which I'll call it right now. It's a setup. It's a setup that is done to using children to destroy the gun advocates' strength, to turn the general population against guns, using all their straw man arguments, right? That guns kill people, right? It's not the criminals or the people that are on all these drugs or under all this psychotherapy. No, it's guns, it's evil. You shouldn't have anything more than 10-round magazines and stuff like that. This is all brought in, it's all purpose. It's right here. So if you want to check this out, this is on the New American, and the title, Hours After Re-Election, Obama Greenlights UN Gun Grab, right? And I talked about the gun grab, the United Nations, right, in an earlier podcast. So this is what they're doing, and they're doing it all right now. I mean, they've been planning it for a long time, and this is how they do it with these children. Stage a shooting. Now, whether there was people killed or not, we may never know, right? But it sure as hell didn't happen at all the way they said it did. And nothing since the tragedy has led me to believe anything differently. In fact, all these things, just like these children being used as pawns, lead me to believe that this was planned well in advance, and this is all part of it. And this is why all those victims, the family victims, had all these prepared letters saying, you know, types of weapons they want to ban, assault weapons, AR-14 or AR-45s, whatever they call them. So, what is the significance, though, of them singing Over the Rainbow? Over the Rainbow, right? We all know that. It's from The Wizard of Oz, right? So, why is this Over the Rainbow used? Well, we can look at something here called monarch programming. Right? This is a system of brainwashing created by the CIA in the 50s. They used children's movies like The Wizard of Oz as triggers and as an example of how they want their victims to think. Right? They want them to keep thinking in a weird, wonderful Oz way, because that way they're easier to control. Okay? It's very important that people connect the symbolism of these things. There's no accident that they're using the Wizard of Oz. There's no accident to it. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot to dig into if you want to. I'm going to dig into some of it. You know, it doesn't actually have much to do with monarchy, but it's the symbol, the monarch butterfly, right? Because they're transforming their victims' personalities into something unrecognizable, right? They use all these methods, pain, you know, mental, physical, torture, whatever, right? And this person here mentions Rihanna's Russian roulette and showing her going through a painful beginning part. And anybody who knows a bit about Rihanna and the Illuminati can tell you to look at her songs, her videos, her imagery that she uses to constantly reinforce this secret society that are controlling us, right? Lady Gaga as well. So they use popular opinion, right? Here's more on the Operation Monarch. Okay, so this is from a website called Outpost of Freedom. You can just Google that, search Outpost of Freedom and Operation Monarch. Purpose: U.S. Department of Defense original plans to research the mind control phenomena was to determine psychological and chemical formulas providing the U.S. with the perfect espionage agent. This quickly evolved into planning the production of the perfect soldier, government worker, slave. However, German SS officer occultist Himmler's research development scientists sent this search for the Manchurian candidate often other directions. Psychological genetic engineering. It was determined, here, I just want to highlight it before I read it because it's kind of hard to do those at once. It was determined that absolute mind control could be realized through specific tortures of intended transgenerational victim from the moment of birth. Right? Armed with this deadly research, a collection of dedicated psychiatrists from Germany, Italy, US, and a new and ancient form of mind control was reborn through Project Monarch. Modern science had simply unraveled the occult, cryptic, so-called magical secrets of mind control to spawn a new generation of superior beings who would never ask what their country could do for them, but only what they could do for their country. Sounds familiar, right? So there's a whole history here. The CIA, Project MK Ultra, which we at Free Radio Revolution have touched on a few times, and we will touch on again. Right, but this is all a project, right? That and here are all the different programming. Alpha. This is considered regular programming. This is actually what we considered a base personality control. The original purpose of Alpha was to program, train, condition the mind through torture of the espionage agent to perform certain difficult tasks. The program also locks into photographic memory, improves physical strength up to 5 times, and all this. Okay, so I don't want to get too deep into this. I think maybe in the future, if I get into this, I'll research it and I'll go crazy with it. But for now, all I want to say is like focus on the project or the Operation Monarch when dealing with television, when dealing with mind control, when dealing with how to program the citizen, right? How to and anybody. I don't watch. I limit my TV. I mean, I hardly ever watch it. I'm a bit weak when it comes to hockey, so I do watch a bit of hockey. But other than that, I try not to watch it. And I always feel like I'm being assaulted every time I watch it. That's no accident. That's what they do. That's what television is. It's there. You think it's there to entertain you and make money. It's really there to control you, right? Here's Rihanna's Russian Roulette. Rihanna's Russian Roulette, or what's wrong with the entertainment industry, right? What's wrong with the entertainment industry? Well, there's satanic people that run it. That's the start of it, right? But here in this article, and this is on the webpage The Vigilant Citizen, right? And they talk about the Illuminati meeting to Rihanna's images. You can see it here clearly, right? The barbed wire, this symbol here, of course. It's all Illuminati imagery, right? And there's a lot of dark lyrics in the song, right? This is how they use songs to control us. Here is a fellow, this is G-Man Case File, his website, and he breaks down the yellow brick road of gun control. I think this is a cool article here. He's a former CIA guy, I believe. And he's talking about how they're using the Wizard of Oz to push their agenda, how there's a great symbolism and everything. Great symbolism and lots of imagery that is really deep, right? In many ways, if you look at the Newtown tragedy, right? The Newtown tragedy, kind of like, if you, before it happened, you could kind of say, well, that's Kansas before, you know, Dorothy fell asleep and or was hit in the head, you know, and when the hurricane was happening or the tornado was happening, right? And then the post world of Oz, where she, you know, is she wakes up to a harsh reality, and her only way to find salvation is to follow the yellow brick road, right, where she gets to the green city, the Emerald City. Remember the emerald colors? Where did I have it? You can see it right there. Right? So they're singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Little children, innocent, sweet little lambs, right, singing this song, all wearing the green emblem. Right? The reef or whatever. There it is. Okay? It's planned long in advance. They know what they're doing, right? And they think that not enough people will wake up to see it happening, right? And here he put it here. I kind of just said that. America on its own, similar. America's on its own, similar post-Newton quest, right? We have all been thrust into a world where innocent children meet sudden death at the hands of unimaginable evil. And we're all desperately longing for a world we knew before, where loving friends embraced us, where we were safe, and where the world made sense. Right? Like Dorothy, we're not in Kansas anymore. Unlike Dorothy, we can't go back. There's so much to this whole thing. I mean, he gets into the straw man, right? Of course, we know him as the Scarecrow, but he's really a straw man. And when you think about straw man arguments that are being used right now for gun control, that, you know, we have to take away the guns, because if we don't, the criminals will get them. They will use them on innocent children, right? When we all know this. I mean, it's common sense, right? It's not the person with the gun, it's the lunatic. And if they have a way, if you take away the gun, of course, and they still want to kill people, well, they'll just make a bomb, right? They'll find another way, or they'll get a big axe or a machete and go and do something brutal anyways, right? There's no way to stop someone when they're intent on what they're doing. But of course, they're telling you the straw man argument that if we bring in the 10 10 bullet magazine limit, all these things will stop these crimes, will cut down on them. But of course, they create these crimes in order to take away your guns. So it's the straw man argument, right? So the straw man being a good. So I think he says here he was an FBI first responder, so I got that wrong. He wasn't a CIA, but he knows a lot of this stuff, right? So he talks about a shooting in which he investigated and how the gun control grab would have nothing at all, would have no effect on this crime that he saw, in which the The gun that was used to kill a bunch of kids was a Chinese-made knockoff Uzi, right? And he bought her, he got it shipped in, right? So the gun was already illegal, right? As most of these shootings that happen, usually they're illegal guns, right? And then we get into the next character, the Cowardly Lion, right? Who uses fear and propaganda to scare people into believing their cause, right? Really, he's a coward, but he uses fear. And you see in the beginning of the film, the first time they come across the lion, they're terrified of him, right? But then they realize, oh, he's all bark and no bite, and then he just becomes wimpy. Well, that's very much like your government, except they've got more bite for sure. Finally, the Tin Man, who lacked heart, right? He didn't know how to love. He would likely spend the money it took to protect somebody other than himself, right? So here he gives the analogy about how the Daily News put out a headline that it would cost $3.3 billion to protect our children in schools, right? And then he compares this right here to the TSA's budget, right? That, including Sky Marshals, that's $8.1 billion. So apparently, businessmen and women and men and women are more important than our own children, right? So these are the arguments. Of course, lions, tigers, and bears, that's the fear. 9/11, you know, you've got terrorists. I mean, if we all remember going back to 9/11, how people in small town America were buying duct tape and plastic wrap for their windows and stuff because they were convinced by the Department of Homeland Security with their constant levels of terrorism, orange, red, you know, orange, yellow, whatever. It never really went below the third one, right? They always would bump it up and down depending on you know, what they wanted to do for the... and here's another article. Theosophical Wizard of Oz, right? So this is a different thing. I'm not going to get into this because I don't want to get too distracted, right? Other than here, I believe this is on Wikipedia. Some political analysts, as Paul says, have claimed that Oz is a thinly disguised socialist utopia, right? There were no poor people in the land of Oz because there was no such thing as money, and all property of every sort belonged to the ruler. Each person was given freedom by his neighbors, whatever he required for his use, which is as much as anyone may reasonably desire. Everyone worked half the time and played the other half the time. It doesn't sound so bad, does it? And the people enjoyed the work as much as they did the play, because it's good to be occupied and have something to do. There were no cruel overseers set to watch them, and no one to rebuke them or find fault in them. So each one was proud to do all he could for his friends and neighbors, and was glad when they would accept the things that he produced. Well, I haven't read into Oz too much. I know there's a few books that Baum had wrote, and so I'm new to this stuff. But as you see here, there's the royal flag of Oz. There is the green, the emerald green, the 5-pointed star, the triangles, of course. Now that just might be incidental, right? But Oz is really, it's ruled by a monarch, as they say here. And as benevolent as she may be, right? I think it's the good queen of the East or whatever. Oz is much closer in nature to an absolute monarchy. Right? This is important. It's very important symbolism here, because that is what it really seems what Obama is intent on doing, is creating a monarchy, right? And using these kids, these cute little kids, these poor little kids who have no idea of how they're being used, you know, the poor innocent children, to carry out an agenda to create a one world order. To take away the last bastion of strength that is left in North America is the firearms of the people, right? Mostly law-abiding people who want nothing better than to have a fair society and a chance to achieve the American dream, which is becoming an almost impossible reality these days. So why would Sandy Hook be so important anyways? Like, what was this all about? Well, I wanted to get into Gene Rosen. Gene Rosen, right? Here's news for Gene Rosen. I did this the other day, and I showed how the news media on the 14th, here these are dated the 16th, but it was on the 14th when they launched their attack against the conspiracy theorist. Sandy Hook truthers target Gene Rosen, Newtown hero. Sandy Hook hero harassed by burgeoning truth movement. Gene Rosen, Sandy Hook Good Samaritan, harassed by truthers. So is Hollywood Gossip, Time, UPI, New York Daily News. Newton families find solace in gun laws passed since the tragedy. Right? Man who helps Sandy Hook kids is harassed by conspiracy theorists. That's Yahoo in Canada. Newtown hero who helps Sandy Hook students after shooting. Right? He's harassed. Blah, blah, blah. Conspiracy people are dangerous. We've already been through that. So why am I revisiting Gene Rosen? Well, here is Gene Rosen's Trusty Pet Service LLC, right? So what do you notice there? Let's see. I'm going to zoom in here. There's no place like home. Right? There's no place like home. This is not by accident. Don't be a fool. Don't be a fool. Now, who is Gene Rosen, right? Well, many very diligent internet bloggers have tracked it down. We found who Gene Rosen is. In fact, Gene Rosen is part of the Cable Advisory Council. He works in television. Don't believe me? Look it up. It's right here. Newtown. CEO, Gene Rosen. Eugene Rosen, right? He's the CEO of the Cable Advisory Council. He's in television. And as we've seen before, he has acting credentials. I have not seen one whiff of proof that Gene Rosen was a psychologist, right? That's the claim, that he was a psychologist, right? Anybody ever see any proof of that? Please send it to me, because I don't see anything. In fact, this is where they claimed he worked, the Fairfield Hills State Hospital in Newton, Connecticut. And it's been closed down for... How long has it been closed down? 1996, almost 20 years. Right? So somehow he worked there, but probably there's no records of it, right? Somebody hopefully will come forth to either confirm this or not. But even this place is actually... It was a psychiatric hospital and asylum. And for those who suffered from mental illness. And had 16 buildings that were clustered on 100 acres. There was underground there was a vast network of concrete tunnels that enable unseen movement of hospital patients and workers, and even patients' corpses between the hospital buildings. Isn't that something? This institution had a history of performing experimental shock treatment and lobotomies in its day. So even if Gene Rosen really is a psychologist and he really worked at this place sounds like an extraordinarily evil institution that was shut down. They were doing all kinds of illegal things. It's clear as day. Look at this. These underground tunnels so they can move people around without anybody knowing about it. Right? It's known, it's credited as the first place of having to perform a lobotomy. Oh, you wonder if Gene got a bit of that. He's so bloody stupid. To treat mental illness in the United States, not surprisingly because of his controversial and unprecedented medical practices. It also had a history of mysterious deaths. And it, as I said before, it closed in 1996. It appeared in the film Sleepers, starring Jason Patric, Brad Pitt, Kevin... I think I saw that a long time ago. Robert De Niro was in it. Then a lot of people have claimed to hear ghosts and stuff like that. And it was even on the subject of an episode of MTV's Fear. So even if this cryptic Gene Rosen here, right? Cheer Up Creepy Gene, as the song there from Police State did really well getting that across. I laughed my head off. I still get that in my head. Definitely check that out. But even if he was a legitimate psychologist, he worked in this horrible, horrible, hideous place. Right? It's now owned by the town of Newton. It's managed by the Fairfield Hills Management Committee. And there's severe deterioration. The entire complex has become unstable, that many buildings are now set for demolition. They've boarded up all these windows, and there's still people breaking in, ghost hunters and stuff. And today the campus is heavily guarded by security guards 24 hours a day. And the Newton State Police or County Police. So, you know, he's an actor. He's in the, he's definitely here. There's no doubt about it. Come on, is there another Eugene Rosen in Newton? I don't think so. You want to check this up yourself, www.cableadvisorycouncil.com, and then just go to town representatives, right? I've taken photos of this, so if this gets changed or taken down, we have proof, right? And there's a lot of disinfo that's going around, so people need to take photos if you can, because they change these things. And I'll give you an example. Money in politics in the land of Oz, right? I didn't want to get into this element of it, but the original Wizard of Oz, she didn't have ruby slippers on. She had silver slippers. And a lot of people thought that Baum was trying to create a world in which the banksters couldn't overinflate the currencies, couldn't overinflate gold, or couldn't overinflate silver, right? So that's interesting too, but I don't want to get into that stuff because it's too much for me to digest everything, right? There's too much going on. But I really encourage other people to get on this, right? I didn't want to get into Rihanna and Satan and all that. Lions and tigers and bears. Okay, so we've gone through all that. Now I'm going to go here, Judy Garland. You know, this is just one of these things. It's too strange to be true. It's you know, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to zoom in here. What do you see right there? Sandy Hook Records. So Judy Garland. You can see it here on the record. Sandy Hook. Right? No accident, folks. There's no accident here. This is the way these people operate. They like to put things out in your face because they think you're too stupid to get it. Annie, Get Your Gun. This was a rare single that they re-released. Annie, Get Your Gun. So, why did I bring any mention to that? Well, Anne Mary Murphy was one of the Sandy Hook shooting victims. Notice, though, it's not Annie, so I don't want to dig into that too much. Here is a website, a hair salon for Newton. Isn't that odd? Shh. ... Co. The red hand with the heart. There's no doubt this town has a lot to hide, right? Let's hope to God that we can expose the people that are behind this. So, people should definitely look into these things, right? I'm getting a lot of people sending me information. I can't thank you all because I can't remember you all, so I'll just say thank you to everyone that sent me information. This I've shown before. I believe the stars are the 26 or 27 people that are killed, right? The green emerald ribbon, of course, right? There's no place like home. Sandy Hook Records. There's no place like home. There's no coincidence, folks. There's no coincidence. Okay. So I already showed you the video where the kids. Okay, so here's another video in which CNN is showing fake footage.
Nearly 1 month to the day of the horrific shootings in Newtown, Connecticut,
Let's
in
get
which
this
26
bigger.
people were killed, including 20 children. Tonight, we expose a number of people who are claiming that the Sandy Hook shootings were staged.
Okay. Tonight we expose a number of people. They're exposing them. We already did this video. I didn't want to get into it. I just wanted to show this part here. Okay? These police officers running up here. Okay? Did you see that? Right?
Quote, one is left to inquire whether the Sandy Hook shooting ever took place, at least in the way law enforcement authorities and the nation's news media have described. Tracy makes the case, if you want to call it
It's
that,
not
that
Sandy
news
Hook. He's 100%
organizations
right.
and government may have worked together to dupe you, the public,
That's right.
in order to gain support from control laws. He even has
The orange traffic cones. Why would they have them there?
trained crisis
It's
actors
all...
to aid
This is a
in
different
this
footage.
That's right.
And they've done this a number of times. They've done it a number of times. They do this all the time, pretty much. They get away with it. Okay? So there's architecturally, there's no similarity between the clip and this person here. I'm going to give them credit here. Scott Walker. There, I just subscribed to your page there, Scotty. Thank you for pointing that out. This is what they do. They are lying to you over and over again. So you see Sandy Hook has no staircase running up to it, has no orange pylons or anything like that, right? And if you look at it, I'll show it one more time here. Now it's freezing up on me. Let's do it again. Okay, hang on. I'm going to move forward. Keeping them honest. Just keeping them honest. There they are. Okay. There they are. They're running up the stairs. This is not Sandy Hook. There's no staircase. There's no buildings that are laid out like this, okay? Go check out this video. It's on Scott Walker's channel. And give the guy some credit. He's doing a great job. So was everybody else that's on top of this thing. Alright, so another thing I wanted to show you was this. Look at this. The Newton Bee. Hang on, I'm going to move this and hopefully I don't close it again like I did. The Newton Bee. So this is the same newspaper that had Dawn Hochsprung. And I mentioned in an earlier video, they had an interview with her. She had seen the killer break in. She had locked eyes or whatever. And she was telling her story. And then the story was retracted. And guess what? Dawn was actually killed. The poor lady probably should have kept her mouth shut. Who knows what happened to Dawn Hochsprung, right? But check this out. We are all asking what happened to the guy that ran into the woods. What happened to that guy that ran into the woods with the gun, right? In the camo outfit. Right? So, additionally, a teacher at the school who realized what was occurring during the shooting incident crowded all her students into a restroom adjoining her classroom and then pulled a bookcase in front of the bathroom to obscure it from view. The people hiding in the bathroom survived. A man, get this, right down here. Alright, I'm going to zoom in. People have said you got to learn to zoom, so here we go. Right? A man with a gun who was spotted in the woods near the school on the day of the incident was an off-duty tactical squad officer from another town, according to the source. So, you know, I probably don't have to convince most people here, but how utterly impossible would it be for a guy in full camo gear with a rifle to be in the woods behind a school in which a school shooting is occurring right at that time? How crazy does it have to be for that to happen? I don't think that it would ever have happened in the history of United States. There is no mystery with that. This guy was part of it, and it's all a cover-up, right? And this paper here, the Newton Bee, is highly suspicious. I think they're thick as thieves in the whole scheme. You cannot let these people get away with this stuff. Here's another article. Sandy Hook CIA Monarch Brainwashing. the butterfly. You've seen the butterfly many times. Here's one of the victims' mothers. Dylan Hockley's mom. I guess Dylan Hockley's one of the so-called victims. I wanted a smallish, multicolored butterfly at the base of my back. The butterfly is the key symbol in CIA monarch brainwashing. This is what I was talking about. The symbols, right? Over the rainbow. The green emerald. Right? The wreath that they're all wearing. The song Somewhere Over the Rainbow was played at Dylan Hockley's funeral. They like to do this. They like to put it in your face. That's what they like to do. They love it. Right? Because they think they can do it, and they think that they can fool you. They also want you to buy into it all, of course. And so, you know, to believe that the coming world that they're going to make for you, you're going to be a lot safer. You're going to, you know, you won't have guns, but somehow you're going to be a lot safer. You know, this woman here actually came from London, England, very, very recently. In fact, I believe Hampshire. Okay, let me zoom in here again. Hampshire, UK. Right, and we had broken down in an earlier video when we were looking into Serco and the connection to the whole Sandy Hook thing, that their headquarters is in Hampshire, UK. Hook, Hampshire, UK, to be precise. Hook. Alright? There's no coincidence. This woman has a lot of experience. She's very high up, okay? I don't want to target her necessarily or anything like that. I'm just saying we got to look into this stuff. But she has acting. She says it on her Facebook page, I believe. And she is recently returned from living in the UK. Sandy Hook, Connecticut. Marketing and advertising. And she has a number of positions that she's held for a very long time. And she has a history involved in acting. Here she is again. Each one of these victims needs to be examined. Alright? Everyone needs to look very hard and find these common things. Right? Find, you know, what do these people share in common? Some people have shown that almost all the victims have only been in the town for a short time, under 2 years or so. All these things need to be discovered and put out. We need to work really hard to expose this. We really, really, really do. This might be our last chance. Now, I can't do it all. I've worked my butt off trying to get all this together. And I have to say thank you to so many people who have sent me a lot of these links that I otherwise would never have had the time or to look up myself. But I'm discovering new things every day. Other people are discovering new things every day. Support each other. Get the word out. Push videos around. Don't fall for the disinfo agents. Right? Focus on the real story. Focus on facts that you can verify, that you can quantify, that you can get. And let's expose this for what it is. Because I believe this goes right up to this man. It goes right up to this man here. And if this man is somehow behind this whole thing, if his team, then we really need to expose that. To stop this man from becoming an emperor, a monarch, king, a totalitarian ruler. We are in dangerous times. The war is on. The fight for information is here. You really, really have to wake people up now. Because if they come in and they take the guns, we're all going to be fucked. Get used to the New World Order. Let's do it, folks. Let's support each other. Please, leave nice comments. I'd love to hear what you got to say. And I wish you all the best. FC over and out.